Hi, everybody. Judy Seeker here, your host. So happy to have you guys on the Women's Longevity Summit. And as always, we have really cool experts to help you in the aging process. We want you to be healthy. We don't want you to be worried about disease as you get older, and you don't have to. So we're happy to have you on here. And my good buddy that we have done many, many summits together, love her, respect her, appreciate her knowledge and experience. Annika Carroll in the house. Thank you so much for being here today, Annika.
Judy, it is such a pleasure.
I know we always have so much fun. So
Yes.
let me give everybody a little background. Annika is a sleep boss. Like she knows how to really help people. Plus, she's a health coach. So she puts that all together. And she is the proud owner of sleeplikeaboss.com, a very cool website where we're going to get into all the details of what she could do to help you guys if you're really, really challenged with sleep. Annika, so I send everybody to Annika. I have for years, and she has helped me and many times. And I've called her. I said, Annika, why am I not sleeping again? What am I doing wrong? It's been very, very cool. People who need to take back control of their health because they're burned out, it's a sleep. We're stressed out, right? So this is what Annika does, and we're going to get into it, right? Now let's get into what are the common sleep issues, Annika? The real common, there's so many. But for women over 40, what are the common ones that you are finding keep coming up? And then we'll deep dive into the weeds and get into understanding what we could do about it.
Absolutely. I think what I see most with women above 40 is waking in the middle of the night.
Yep.
It's this, oh my God, it's 2:30, it's 3 o'clock. Either because I have to go to the bathroom or because I just woke up and then I'm like, can I fall back asleep? Can I not fall back asleep? Is it going to take me an hour and a half? Am I just going to get up and start the day early and be exhausted for the rest of the day? So that's, I think, is a big one. Falling asleep sometimes. That often seems to be a bit more in the 30s
Oh, okay.
than in the 40s, can happen too. But I also see women who they're like, you know what? I think I get a decent amount of sleep and I wake up and I'm still brutally exhausted. And if I could hit the snooze button 10 times, I would. So I think it is mostly the staying asleep and the fatigue, the not having a restful, recovering sleep overnight.
So when they get up in the middle of the night, because we're going to be focusing more on the 40, 50, 60-year olds because they're
Mhm.
the ones that are really struggling, right?
Yeah.
So when they wake up like at that 1, 2, even 3 o'clock mark, like you said, what is causing it? Like, what do you feel is the major issue that's causing it?
Well, that's the magic question, right? And it is
Because
different.
women typically say hormonal, but I think
Yes.
there's a few other things going on too, don't
Mhm.
you? Right. All
Yes,
right.
and it can be multifaceted for you. So it could be that there's multiple reasons for you personally, or it could be that they're very different from one another. I would say there's two big ones actually that I would put before hormones. One is really stress anxiety. And could that be hormone induced? Yes, but it can also be lifestyle induced. Am I juggling everything for everybody, right? Am I go to the last minute of the day? Um, and then if I wake up in the middle of the night, because we all do in between our sleep cycles, we all just kind of roll over, tuck ourselves in, and should fall back asleep, and often don't even remember that we did that. But if anxiety is part of your life, because you're stressed, then in that moment, your to-do list kicks in. Then in that moment, the annoyance, that conversation, that argument you had with your partner last night kicks in. And then your brain's in operating mode, and then you're not falling back asleep. So that could be an issue, that stress anxiety thing. Another huge issue I see in women in their 40s, 50s, and 60s is blood sugar dysregulation. So maybe we dive into that a little just so you understand what I mean by that.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate you getting in that because I know people haven't heard of that. They know about the hormonal and they think everything is based on that, or they know about the stress. And we'll dive deep into like how do we give them some tips on that. I know you have a bunch. But the blood sugar, oh my goodness, this is huge because so many women are struggling with that as well. So explain that to us. What's the issue there, Annika?
Yeah, so we have our blood sugar, right? Like we eat and then we have glucose in the body, so sugar molecules, and they give us energy and they need to get into the cell. And we do that with insulin because insulin kind of unlocks the cell for the sugar to go in our body, making energy. So that is a pretty fine-tuned system that should work very well in our bodies. The older we get, the more we have a risk of this system not working as well as it did when we were 20. You know, we could go hours without food, or we could eat that burger or that muffin and it didn't matter. Unfortunately, the older we get, potentially the more sensitive our system gets to us not treating it very well. And so if we are, and I see this often in women, because we start putting on midsection weight, right? The belly from inflammation, from cortisol, we start dieting again, like maybe what we did when we were teenagers, right? It's like, oh no, I'm just going to cut back on stuff. I'm not going to feed myself very much because I'm already too big, in quotes, right? I want to change my body composition. So we start eating not enough. That sends our blood sugar and our insulin on a roller coaster ride. And it does that throughout the day as well as it does that at night. And if we don't nourish ourselves well during the day because we skip breakfast and we just had coffee, we just grabbed something on the go for lunch, maybe dinner is the first actual meal that we're having, or we're kind of skipping that and just having a little bit charcuterie stuff and a glass of red wine, like we're sending our blood sugar on a roller coaster ride. And if it's not stable throughout the day, it will not be at night. So what happens at night is it could be that your blood sugar drops too low because you didn't eat enough throughout the day. And your body's like, oh, you know what? I kind of need energy. And then what does your body do to A, warn you that you kind of need to eat, and B, to make energy? It releases cortisol, your energy hormone, to break down muscle tissue and give you energy and to wake you up and say, hey, you're dying. No, you're not dying. That's just your body's way of signaling you it needs support. And that will wake you up, because cortisol is not just your energy hormone, it's your stress hormone. And if that's too high at night, your melatonin, that's supposed to make you sleepy, that sleepy hormone that we know, can't do its job. You're just overloading the system with stress, and then the body's up, and then it takes you an hour and a half to fall back asleep because that body needs to get rid of that cortisol, and that's just how long it takes. And then you're there frustrated, starting to worry about how much time you have left until the alarm goes off, and then you're stressing your system even more with those thoughts, and then we have that problem of not
So
getting
you're
great
saying
sleep.
that having a glass of red wine at night is not good for us?
Well, I'm looking at it from a sleep perspective, right?
Yes.
So, and from a sleep perspective, and I see a lot of this kind of like espresso in the morning, Merlot at night kind of game, right? And it becomes a bit of a vicious cycle, because that red wine at night, does it help you fall asleep? Yes, it does. For women specifically, it's proven. It helps with sleep onset, what with that time it takes you to fall asleep. However, it messes with your deep sleep, and it messes with your overall recovery. And we often have the hangover in the morning and we're like, oh my God, it was only one glass. What is happening? Your body just didn't recover. Your body, it's not just the toxicity of the red wine and the liver not being able to detoxify the rest of the stuff in your body. It's really, you didn't get restful sleep. And that's partially also why you're hungover. And that's been proven over and over again. And then once you have that hangover and fatigue the next morning, what do? You double your espresso. And then you're hyped for the day, and then you need to wind down again at night. And how do we do that again? Often with sedatives, which is an alcohol, right? And then we get into this cycle, and no, alcohol does not help you sleep.
No, for sure. And people just have a hard time letting it go as the older we get,
Yeah.
because we're, like you said, we're wound up and we're looking for ways to relax, which of course you're going to get into, that are proven to be effective. I've done them, and I still do them because it works and it doesn't take really much time. But let's get into understanding that people need to understand why sleep is so important. Like, it is like really, really essential, especially as we get older, right, Annika? And so we need to emphasize why they should focus on that. Like, that's one of the top three things I tell people. And I know, of course, you say it's number one, Let's get into it. Let's talk about why is it so important as we age, especially as women, to get a good quality deep sleep.
Yeah, and I agree. I would say to me, it's the foundation. If you don't sleep well, you can't do anything else. If you're not rested, you can't exercise. If you're not rested, you're starting to gravitate towards crappy foods. Your biochemistry is made for that. So why do we need to sleep? We need to sleep to restore and recover. That's the deep sleep, the first part of the night, where we really rebuild our cells. So if we're talking longevity, that's what you want, right? You want healthy cells, you want healthy mitochondria, you want energy, you need that deep restorative sleep, you want to look great, all that happens there, right? And then if we go into the what we call a REM sleep, so those phases where we dream, that is where we consolidate memory. Like talking about longevity, you want to still be on your ball game, right? You want to be up there. You want to read, learn, take in information, stay on top of it. Changes in technology, be able to understand what your grandchildren are explaining to you, because you're like, oh my God, I don't know what you're doing on the internet. I've never seen this. I want to learn and I want to be able to do all these things. And if we don't get enough REM sleep, we're not able to take in as much. We don't have the capacity. And the other thing that I'm personally, because we have a family history in that, I'm very concerned about is mental health when it comes to dementia. Because we want to start this early. We don't want to start too late. We want to get that good REM sleep because there is something happening in your brain, which is called the glymphatic flush. And that is your brain actually cleans itself out. There's a garbage crew that comes in every night if you're in REM sleep, and they gobble up all the debris in there, all the dead cells, all the toxins that we don't want to have that have been shown to are contributing to Alzheimer's and dementia. So sleep is fundamental. It has been linked in studies to cardiovascular health. I saw Dr. Bryce, the sleep doctor, just post a study about cancer. There hasn't been a one-on-one correlation or causation yet, but the study looks like, from what they've looked at, there could be links. So there is a lot of health risk associated with the lack of sleep, and you really want to nail that, and you just want to, because then you feel great too and can do everything you want to do.
Exactly. So let's break it down just for those who don't understand. What is REM sleep? What is the cycle? Let's just walk them through. So when they fall asleep, what is that called? And the pattern, because they hear REM sleep and they kind of sort of understand it, but not everybody does. So let's get it down to understanding the whole
The sleep
pattern.
cycle.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, so we have sleep cycles that we go through every night. We have multiple of these. They're about 90 minutes long, plus minus, and we connect several of them, roughly about 4 to 6. That's how we get to anywhere between 6 and 10 hours of sleep. And each of these cycles has different stages. So it's that light sleep when you fall asleep. Then we go into deep sleep. That's that real recovery, physical recovery sleep. And then we go from there into REM sleep, that rapid eye movement. So if you look at somebody, and if you had a baby when they were little and they were sleeping on your arm, you'd sometimes see their eyes move when they were close. That's REM sleep. That's when they dream. Then they would smile and stuff, right? And that's kind of, that is REM sleep. And we as adults have that too. We often just don't look at other people and see their eyes move. So that's where we consolidate memory, where we work through emotions. So people who have anxiety or depression, if they don't get a good REM sleep, they're often even more affected because they didn't get into that emotional regulation piece of sleep. And that is really, this cycle repeats itself over and over at night, but the stages of sleep shift throughout the night. So in the earlier parts of the night, we have a lot more deep sleep. So a lot more recovery from a physical perspective. The longer we sleep, the more REM sleep we have. So if people start cutting their sleep short at 6 hours, because that's just how much they sleep, they're missing out on 1 to 2 cycles of significant amounts of REM sleep. So memory, emotional regulation. So if people are like, man, did you not get enough sleep tonight? And you look back and you're like, yeah, I'm grumpy. And I only had 6 hours. Then that's probably why.
So I have two questions on that. So 6 hours you're saying is really not enough. You should really be, is it true? Like it should be shooting for 7, 8 hours? because then we get the longer chance to have that REM sleep. Is that right?
Well, yes. Generally, the answer to be like, how can I have more REM sleep? Sleep longer, right? It's technically it's that easy. There is a lot on social media. You hear a lot. Everybody needs 8 hours. That is not really scientifically proven. So the recommendation is the majority of people falls into 7 to 9 hours, and 8 is just right in the middle. And I think that's what they picked, and everybody ran with it. But if you actually look at the science, more and more studies are showing that most people need between 7 and 7.5.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's
And then there's always the discussion about women and men, right? Do women need more than men? Yes, we do, but only about 10 to 20 minutes at night.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. Yeah, since you have last time we talked, I know it's been a while, but I do practice what you taught me, and I have shot up to 7 hours regularly, and I feel good at 7. I was at 5 or 6, which is when I called you. I said, I'm down to 5. I know I'm in trouble. Annika, help me. I don't know if you remember that conversation, but I was like, I need some help here. So, what about those? They have phone apps to measure, your sleep cycle or the aura rings. Are those effective to measure the REM cycle?
Yeah, yeah. They have really the Apple Watch. I find the Fitbits and the watches, like the wearables for the wrist, I personally don't think they're as accurate. I think the Aura Ring has really improved. There's one that I've been trying. It's called the Ultra Human. It's also a ring. They have gotten better. Had you asked me that question 2 years ago, I would say not so much. It still doesn't compare to a sleep lab. You'll never get like that's the gold standard. You won't get
Sure.
there.
Yeah, I remember you said that 2 years ago. It wasn't that great. So that's why I kind of like threw that at you because I wondered, because things are changing. Wearables
Changing.
are changing.
So they have improved. You know, to me, sleep trackers are a I'm still torn with them. I see so many people do it at home, tracking and starting to panic because, oh my God, I heard on the internet that you need whatever, 25% of deep sleep and this much of, and my heart rate variability is not at 100, it's like at 27. And people start panicking, but have no clue what to do because there is no guidance on how they can improve it. For me, these markers, those are markers. That's just data. That's just a point that tells us right now, this is what you're getting. And then let's dive in why that might be. And then see how certain changes you make in your life get you on a more positive trend. And you're never going to compare yourself. If you have REM sleep of 2% and you're not dreaming, you cannot compare yourself to somebody on the internet who is like a fitness person or a health coach and has been doing this for years, and their REM sleep is, I don't know, at 25%. And you're like, how, like, am I just totally failing? No, you're probably not. There's maybe something not always right with the data. If it shows it like that all the time, there's maybe a point and something to dig into. But people I find often are left alone with that data and
Well, that's
don't.
just it. That's why we need you.
Yeah,
I called you. It was like, you get in trouble because you know that you're not getting enough sleep. You're waking up grumpy, you're waking up irritable, you're dragging through the day, and you're like, what can I do to boost that energy up? And it really comes down to the right sleep patterns. So let's dive into the weeds, Annika. This is our favorite part, where we talk about the practical things that people can do. And then we'll talk at the end where some people just really need to talk to you, and we'll get into that as well. But let's talk about the approaches that work. And at the end, I do want to throw a couple of myths out at you that does it really work? I always throw those at you. Okay, so let's get into the ones that for sure work, Annika.
the first thing I think is we need to assess our behavior. Are we doing what we're doing throughout the day and at night? Is that helping me to fall asleep or stay asleep? Or am I actually self-sabotaging with what I'm doing? We were talking about alcohol before, so that would be one of those saboteurs, right? But what people often also don't understand, people hear, yes, you need a bedtime routine, you need to wind down at night. Yes, I agree. And you need all the stuff you do throughout the day either helps you fall asleep at night or it doesn't. So I like to start with people in the morning, and I like to really help them reset their sleep-wake cycle, have their body be able to release the hormones, so their cortisol that gives them energy and their melatonin that makes them sleepy at the right time of day in the right amounts. And the easiest way to do that, because that is how the body knows when to release those, is to play with light. Expose yourself to light and avoid light at the right times of day. And in the societies that we live in, because we don't live in caves anymore with the sunset and the sunrise, that makes it more difficult. So we have to kind of put a bit of an effort in there. And what we do is when we wake up in the morning, we don't grab our phones and check our emails. We go outside. Literally 10 minutes. Sit on your porch, take your dog around the block. If you live somewhere where you were like, I don't want to go out at whatever 6 o'clock in the morning, then you open your window very far and you sit there and you actually look at the sky and you take in that natural light. Don't wear sunglasses at that time.
I was just going to
That,
ask you, no
yeah,
sunglasses.
no
What
sunglasses.
about if they have glasses? Should they be wearing their glasses?
You can, if you can wear your glasses or even contact lenses. They don't, as long as they don't have a blue light filter on them. I know some people have that now for work. That we actually want that light at that time of day. So if they don't have blue light filters, you can wear them. If you can go without and you can see enough, yes, I would go without.
Annika, this is the one thing, and I really want to jump in here.
Yeah.
That was the one thing that I saw immediate results with.
Yeah.
I went out in the morning. I'm an early riser anyway. And I did that 10 minutes. You know, I'm not looking directly at the sun. You said, no, just look toward the sunrise and get that light. And I had my hat on. I put the hat up, no sunglasses. I couldn't believe that first week how well I slept. I was like, holy cow, this really worked. And it was so simple, right? But can you, if people are not early birds and, you know, seeing the sunrise, is the sunset okay too?
Sunset is okay too. Ideally, we would even want morning and later in the day or go outside throughout the day. If you're somebody who's just not up that early, I would still try within the first half hour of waking to get that input and to try and avoid screens and things before that. Really get that natural light and try and get, and that's even 5 minutes here and there throughout the day. Just because your brain gets the degree at which the sun shines, the sun rays fall into your eye, that is how it knows what time it is and what hormones to produce and release when. And when my clients do that, that's the first thing I have them do. If they do that, what they also all report is more energy throughout the day and not that dip in the afternoon where it's like, I really want coffee and I know I shouldn't be having coffee, so let me have a muffin because I need energy of some kind, right? And then we sabotage the blood sugar, that other thing that we were talking about. It really helps also give you energy. And then you're just up for more fun things, right? And that helps you sleep too, because you're relaxing, you're doing fun things, you might be exercising. And that resetting that sleep wake thing is really the key. So you want to have that natural light throughout the day. And in the evening, if you can catch the sunset, amazing. It's literally the best thing you can do. And people on vacation, they're always like, everybody goes watches the sunset and everybody feels so good and everybody sleeps so well. Yes, I wonder why. And then what you want to do when you come back in, you want to avoid the bright lights. You know, my phone is glaring at me, or the lights in the ceilings that shine straight down on you and are often LED, really, really white lights, right? Those are the kinds of lights we want to avoid. You want to have like your side table lights that a lot of people have. So when you read or something, that the light falls on the book and not in your face. If you just play with that, with light and darkness, you'll do your body so much good for its ability to fall asleep and stay asleep.
I love that because I know it works. And I made a bunch of videos to try to help women, and they were like, just not catching on. And I'm like, well, you're going to suffer, you know, it's going to be, it's such a simple technique, really. It's not hard at all. And once you get in the habit, the question is, do you, because I noticed I did it for 2 weeks, like daily. And then I noticed, I don't know, I had meetings and I had to get rid. I don't know what happened. I kind of fell off. And then I was doing every other day and I still benefited. And now that's what I do. I do it like 2, 3 times a week consciously making sure I'm out there. So but is it important to do it every day? Like, is that really an issue that we should be focused on?
I would I would say the more the better. Do we strive for perfection and stress ourselves out and then it doesn't work? No. But if you're somebody who really struggles, I would try and make that effort for 2 to 4 weeks. And it's easier during the summertime for sure than it is during wintertime, right? But I would really make that effort to reset it, to give your body that, oh, right, this is my rhythm, this is where I should be at. And then once it's in a, like, has a good baseline, it can handle these deviations of, oh yeah, I didn't have time. I had a doctor's appointment, couldn't do it. This came up, that came. Then we can deal with that better, right? And if we missed it in the morning, go outside in the afternoon for a little and get that daylight.
Exactly. It just feels good all the way around. It just calms you down. Okay, so we got the sleep pattern understanding and now what we could do. So that's a one approach that is super easy to do. What's another one, Annika?
Well, the other one throughout the day really is this taking small breaks, like you just said, to calm the system down. So it's not in complete overdrive when you want to go to bed and then you can't sleep. What I like to do with my clients is we do something at the end of the day. It's called a brain dump. So we just take a piece of paper and we write down anything that's on your mind. This is not a to-do list necessarily, but you just write thoughts that come up, right? Oh, it could be haven't called my mom, need to make a dentist appointment, but it could also be super annoyed at my best friend for saying this and that, or at my husband because he like put the socks right next to the hamper again, like whatever comes out, or concerned about the state of the world right now, whatever comes out, put it on paper. Your brain sees it, it lets go internally of that information because it's captured on the paper. And that gives you not just so much capacity in your brain, it takes that worry out of, oh, did I forget that? So if I wake up in the middle of the night, I can just turn over and know, oh, I'm in a good place. It's comfy, it's cozy. I can just go back to sleep.
Got it. And so those are the two major techniques that you use. There's a lot more, and we'll go into
There's a lot more. Yeah.
There's a lot more. But let's do a rapid fire because as you were talking, a bunch of stuff came up as well. So let's just do a real quick rundown of the common things that I hear, and I'm sure you do, that is supposed to help you sleep, and then give your input on what you think. Does it really work or no, 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 no? So smoking weed. Everybody loves to smoke weed to relax, and they say it helps them sleep better because it's weed. What do you think?
You know, it works for some, it doesn't work for others. I live in a neighborhood where that is a very common practice. My neighbor right next door does not sleep at all, and I can tell you he smokes weed. I see a lot of people who try it, things like Delta gummies, all that fun stuff. They sometimes do sleep on higher doses of it. They make you hungover in the morning often. The body doesn't break it down fast enough.
Oh.
It works for some, it doesn't work for others. Is it a long-term solution? To me, it's not, because I'm not sure about the long-term effects of that stuff
Yeah.
in the body
I
and the
know.
brain.
I'm with you. So many people hopped on it, especially when I was in the cancer circle as a naturopath, and like you, 50-50. Some people it worked, some people it didn't. So you have to kind of pay attention to that and the kind of stuff you're using, all that stuff. Okay.
And
Let's
the
go.
question still is, to me, the question is still, why are you not sleeping? It's a Band-Aid, you know? It's a Band-Aid.
It is. Why do you need something like that? Exactly.
Yeah.
I 100% agree with you. Okay, blue blocker glasses. I remember I ask you this all the time because they're still very popular, and a lot of the big gurus are still promoting it. And so I want to hear your intake because it's been a while since we talked. Do you think wearing blue blocker glasses for computer work, or even now they're wearing it outside, they're wearing it at work, do you think it's helpful?
Personally, I think the outside does not make any sense to me at all. Assuming you're not in New York City on time, like with the massive billboards at night, you know, then I get it. If you are outside in your neighborhood, in nature, to me, the sun is it's called the Zeitgeber. It tells your body what to do. So blocking that light or artificially manipulating that light during the day doesn't make sense to me. Blue blockers on your phone screens on there on your computers makes total sense to me throughout the day because it's just too much blue light. But that's an indoor situation. That is not outside wearing blue blockers. Generally, blue blockers, like if I wear blue blockers, and I don't wear them all the time, but if I do and I have my ring and I track my sleep, there is a correlation. I have deeper sleep. I see a lot of people who, if they have trouble falling asleep, I would try the orange blue blockers for an hour to 2 hours at night, because it does support melatonin production. And for the people who can't fall asleep, that's often a thing where we need to get you over that hump. And if you have blue blockers, that can really, really help.
Oh, okay. See, we're learning since the last time I spoke with you. We didn't know all the different colors and what they meant and how it helps. So this is really good. What about eating before sleep? Some people are adamant that they like to have their meal, and then of course, then they do the intermittent fasting. I don't know if that has anything to do with it. I just found working with people that having sometimes a little protein at night seemed to help them. But what have you been seeing overall for the women as they're like trying to make the changes and getting into good sleep patterns?
It depends. And I think a lot of, because we talked about this blood sugar earlier and how we become a little more dysregulated, and we need to put a focus on that. Often that is a big driver. And if that is a big driver, I find exactly what you were saying, that a small protein snack, like an hour before sleep, is actually helpful, because it helps us band-aid that or bridge that waking, so we don't have that waking, or we can fall back asleep quicker. And then if that's something that works for us, we know blood sugar is something we definitely need to work on to help you be more stable, so you don't need that. Because yes, ideally, we don't want too much food in the system an hour, 2 hours before we go to bed, right? But we're also talking like a small piece of chicken or turkey, or a little bit of hummus with something, or a little bit of yogurt if you can do dairy, like those kinds of, we're not talking full portions, but still, then that is an indicator. If that works for you, then we know blood sugar is something to work on.
Right, right, right. That's exactly what I found. So, and then the one that was flying off the shelves, of course, years ago. I wonder if it's come back, or what have you been seeing? The whole thing about melatonin. Like I hated it because I thought it messed up the brain and the chemicals in the brain, and it was a disruptor. But so many people did well on it. What have you found now that it's died down and people are still kind of sneaking it into different things when their supplement routine? What are you finding as far as, does it help some people?
From basically everybody I see, and I see people on low doses and I see people on very, very high doses of melatonin, they all come to see me because it's not working.
Right.
Right? It's like, that's one of the first things that people go to. And often, I think it often does not work, or it works temporarily, like a week or two, and then it's not. And if it's not, well, to me, there's multiple reasons. It is a hormone, not to be underestimated. In the UK, you cannot buy melatonin off the shelf. You need a prescription.
Oh.
Like, it's regulated, because if we don't, like, we can do lots of funky stuff with ourselves with throwing supplements and things. And the question is, if we think about what melatonin actually is, melatonin is an antioxidant in its natural form. So maybe there's something going on in the body that isn't quite, that's kind of needing all your melatonin, so it's not from its own perspective making enough. The body isn't making enough to help you fall asleep or keep you asleep. That could be one thing. Is your cortisol just too high that it's overpowering it? There is one, it's called herbatonin. That is an herbal melatonin. It's not synthetic. That is, for me, a product that is fascinating. It's still quite early in the research. I find it fascinating from an antioxidant perspective, because it is has a lot higher antioxidant capacity than the synthetic stuff has. But I find it doesn't really have much of an effect on sleep. But it's like for the body, and depending what markers we're seeing that are off, it can be very helpful, but it doesn't necessarily help a lot with sleep. And yes, I see a lot of people who have that, like you were saying, have that hangover brain fog feeling. in the morning with melatonin
That's what
supplementation.
I tried it, I think once or twice, and I felt like I was drugged or I
Yeah.
had a hangover, and I hate that feeling. And I said never again. And I tried the different dose like you just said, where it was very low, then I tried a little bit higher, and both times I just felt awful. I was like, nope,
Yeah, I think most people overdo it too. Because if
of
you
course.
think that the brain makes like 0.8, like it releases 0.8 milligrams per day for sleep from the pineal gland. And if you think about what we supplement, that's like most people go way over 1 milligram. Like we're often 3 to 10. That is often, even I find, is way too high. And it's the hangover that is a problem, and I find it's like it doesn't work for most
I know.
people.
We want you and I are. That's why I love working with you on these summits, because we're on the same page. Listen, we want you guys healed. We want you sleeping well. This is what it's really going to take. Let's dive into, because people are confused and they're like, well, you just said maybe it's blood sugar, maybe it's hormonal, maybe it's stress. So let's dive into your one-on-one, because I love your one-on-one program. You cover so many things and you really walk people through it so they know exactly what to do, and you hold them accountable, which is awesome. So let's talk about it in case those of you who are on here, you're like really frustrated and you've been bouncing around trying all these things. Listen to Annika's one-on-one program. It is a lifesaver if you're not sleeping well, and it is super important as you're getting older. So Annika, what do you include in that whole program? Let's get into it.
Yeah, I basically look at everybody's sleep puzzle. So what is it that it's driving your inability to sleep for you? Is there a behavioral part to it? Are you doing things throughout the day in your lifestyle that are not supporting? Is there something off with your diet? If we talk about blood sugar, we're also talking about inflammatory foods, so foods that aggravate your system, so your cortisol is working overtime. What's with your mindset? Because if we haven't slept for a long time, well, we start telling ourselves stories like, oh, is this going to happen again tomorrow? I'm going to feel like crap. Am I actually going to die early because I'm not sleeping well? That whole monkey brain isn't helping with sleep either, because it stresses us. And then we look at what's going on in your gut. Do you have imbalances in your gut microbiome? Do you have inflammation in your system? Do you have, people always laugh, but I see it on so many people's tests, parasites? Candida overgrowth, huge for night wakings. And if we then get into hormone replacement, Candida can be a fun driver there, or like a consequence of progesterone replacement. That's what I look at. I look at people's hormones. Yes, we do look at hormones, at your cortisol and melatonin. We also look at your sex hormone metabolites, because yes, estrogen and progesterone do play a role, but is that the first step to go to? In my opinion, it's not. I see a lot of women who come on hormone replacement who are not sleeping. So it's not necessarily a progesterone or estrogen deficiency in itself.
Right.
There's other chemicals at play here that help you not sleep. And that is something that I've been doing. I'm not sure if we talked about that last time. I've started incorporating neurotransmitter testing. So neurotransmitters are brain chemicals like dopamine, like GABA, all these fun chemicals that help you either be more revved up or excited, or help your body calm down. And I see so many women with completely tanked neurotransmitters, completely tanked. And then if you look at their gut microbiome and you see that that's also a mess, then these two are connected. So if your gut isn't working optimally, it doesn't help make building blocks for these neurotransmitters. So there's a connection. And if we then rebuild the gut, that takes a while. And then often it took longer for people to see that result. And now that I have both pictures, I can go at it from both angles, worst case, and it helps
That's a
people
bigger picture for you to understand and then help your client. So testing the neurotransmitter, like how do you do that? You did not talk about that last time, because I don't think you were doing
No, I do urine testing, and there's discussions about, should that be saliva, should this be other tests? And yeah, there can be different opinions about that. Urine testing is pretty easy because you just get it at home, you get a kit, you send it back to the lab, super easy. And I've seen great results with it. It's a lab that's very well recognized and has done like hundreds, thousands of labs. And I often see people on medication too. So people might come on an antidepressant, or people might come on a sleeping pill. And then I really need to know interactions, right? So having that lab and having those results is always really super helpful. And then we also look at like minerals and nutrients. And does your body have everything? Because people are like, I'm throwing magnesium at it and it's not working. Well,
Right. So
yeah,
that's
because
the thing.
magnesium
People don't
doesn't
know.
work by itself, which
No,
we often
exactly.
don't know. There's other factors that we need in the body for magnesium to actually get into the cell.
Right.
So we need to look at the whole picture, and then we make a plan, and then I coach you through that plan and the changes that we're making. Because the body sometimes like, I don't want to do that, or you're like, nah, I don't, life got in the way, it happens, and then we have to kind of get back on the wagon and keep moving forward.
So when somebody calls you up and has the consult with you, do you then have a long discussion about their history and then have the test done right away? Is that how
Yes.
it works? And then you get the plan going, right?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
and
Now,
we generally do a session, a really detailed intake session, because I want to know everything, and then we already make a little plan.
she wants to know
Like,
everything.
yeah, one client said it the other day. She's like, you know me better than my doctor. I'm like, yeah, that's my goal, right? And I spent more time with you, so maybe that's why. But we already in the first session make a little plan on first things you can change, so it doesn't overwhelm you when other things come, right? We make a plan, takes us a little bit to get the tests done and the results back, and then we make a protocol on, okay, what are really your drivers, because yours could be very different from your neighbors, right? And then we make a plan and customize that for you and work
And
you through.
includes the plan includes everything from food to lifestyle changes to whatever is needed. Like you put it all together. And then how long is the program for?
6 months. I work with people for 6 months.
6 months.
And
And
people
then
are like, oh my God, that sounds so long. You generally, I would say most people have more energy within 4 weeks, like
yeah.
significant. And then most people sleep well within 3 to 4 months.
Yeah. And then it's a matter of because you're looking at all the things, people don't realize, especially hormonal balance and blood sugar balance, it takes time for the
Yeah.
body to acclimate, especially with women as we're 40, 50, 60. It really does take time, and people don't realize that. They're just like, yeah, give me that one, the one method that actually is all the one I need. No, 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 no. You got to look at the big picture. You got to put it all together, and that takes time. And you're very good about holding people accountable, but showing them why and how and coming up
Yeah.
with creative ways. And that's invaluable because you run out of ideas. Like, what else do you do? Do we Google it? No, Dr. Google has nothing on you, Annika. You're the boss when it comes to that. Awesome. So listen, all of you who are on here and you're really struggling with sleep, get a hold of Annika, sleeplikeaboss.com. We'll have the link below. And just call. And Annika, do you have like a time slot where people could just call and talk to you, see if it's a good fit, if it's ready for it? Yeah. And so you still have that. So you could call her and just chat with her and just see
Absolutely.
yeah, what it's about, right? And that works really well too. So Annika, as a last word, as far as people understanding that this is something practical they could do, what encouragement would you give them to make sleep their priority?
I think if you just want to live a long, healthy life and be able to play with your grandchildren, right? And just be out there and do fun stuff. And the closer to retirement we get, the more time we have, and we want to do all these things. Just start now. Just start setting yourself up for that success.
I love that. So you guys, listen, you could have your life and have a quality, wonderful, healthy life when you put sleep as your priority. So Annika, thank you so much. As always, I appreciate you, my friend. And I really respect your experience and everything you've been going through. So thank you for sharing your time with us today.
Thank you so much, Judy.